There. Now it's fixed. Now they should be able to hear us. So the aftermath, man.
We'll get into that.
Hey, you know what? It was our most viewed show. One of our most viewed shows.
Third
so
most.
Great.
Third most so far. We should go over the stats, because when you gave me the list of like how to log into YouTube, some of it's amazing.
Yeah. Like I was telling you all, I had sent it to you before, but you never accepted the invite.
The average number of minutes. By the way, look at that hurricane coming in.
I know, Category 5.
I get excited about stuff like that. Barrel. You're gonna hear barrels barreling in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have news to report today too, as well, because we're going to be doing something new starting this Friday.
That is true.
And it's a request by the listeners. They've been asking for it.
They ask and they shall receive. Yeah. Give me the chat. Turn it on.
Yeah. Good morning, Sam Salinas. Chris Gonzalez says, "Who got the steak ready from yesterday's grilling?"
Stay safe, Isaiah. Safe on the road, brother.
Isaiah Aguilar is on the road from Lubbock to Dallas to watch some mother effing baseball today. Yeah, have a good time, man. Be safe out there.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
Is it safe?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is Pledger still here?
No, he's gone.
Is it safe to come out?
Yeah, it's safe, brother.
Because I got scared.
Oh, come on, Mike.
I had nightmares last night.
Come on.
It's safe to come out. He's not on, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to come out like Punxsutawney Phil the groundhog. We're all good. This is a safe space, right?
If you see your shadow, there's going to be more grilling from Pledge.
I see my shadow. Therefore, there's 90 minutes of sports talk.
Oh, God.
How's everybody doing, man? It is, what is it, Tuesday here in San Antonio? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. My name is Mike Jimenez.
What's up, Gert Vanderkip?
That is Joe Garcia. This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the west side of San Antonio. We're going to have a fun show today. We do sports, we do pop culture, we do nostalgia. Lots to get into today.
Lots.
You know, yesterday was the third most watched episode of the Alamo City Sportscast ever. James Pledger came over, did Scorch Earth. Was weird. He was arguing with somebody who was agreeing with him. But we need to break that down a little bit, because just like any presidential debate, which I didn't realize we were going to have a debate, there's some fact checking that has to go along the way. And the one thing, Joe, that everyone says, you got him. You got Jimenez. 10-8, 10-7 round. That Pledger actually came out with was, guess what? Oh. Factually inaccurate. Oh, I'm going to be that guy today. We're going to fact check some of this crap, because, man, it's so funny. So many people were asking me if I was offended. No. Pledger's one of my best friends. We literally did that type of show for 4 years. And the thing about it is this. I thought I was just bringing my friend on. I was bringing on my former co-host. And it's one of those things where he was coming in for a SmackDown, and I just thought it was a leisurely conversation. I'll be better prepared next time. It startled me a little bit. Yeah. But I enjoyed it, and I don't take any offense by it. In fact, Pledger and I last night, around 7:15 after his show, Extra Innings, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m., 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, we were talking about it, and I said, Pledge, I was watching some of the segments.
They're funny.
You do realize I was agreeing with you the entire time. He goes, but you embody what I don't like about whatever.
And I even said he's using you as the face for Spurs Twitter.
Yeah. And I said, I thought to myself afterwards, that's how I know I'm good at what I do.
He was throwing darts, but it was your face on the dartboard, because he's like, you know what? I'm going to use you as the outlet because I have all this bent up frustration for Spurs Twitter. So I'm throwing darts at you.
And it's one of those things where there have been times on Twitter where people say, Jimenez said this, that, and the other. I'm like, I never said that. It sounds like it's something you would say.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I told him, I was like, dude, I was actually agreeing with you.
Why are you getting mad?
Why you getting mad? Pat that shit down. Stand down, dude. And it was so funny because he goes, but I know you're going to say this. And it's so funny because I said, you're getting mad at somebody who hasn't said something yet.
Yeah.
Are you listening to the words coming out of my mouth?
I like that, though. I like Fired Up Pledge. We need to get that more often, man. That's good for ratings. But you know what? We do have some news to announce here, and somebody got it right on the head there. After Gert, Sam Salinas says, what are we going to be doing this Friday? And because the listeners have been requesting this, and we tried it right when we first started, it was like, hey, let's take in call-ins. We didn't have the following then.
Right.
Now we do. The listeners have been asking for it for a couple of weeks already. I do have a voice over IP phone that's behind you that I've been working on programming. So we're going to be taking in some live calls starting this Friday.
Right.
And we're just asking that everybody be respectful when we're going to go ahead and get these calls, because we're going to have a call screener.
Yeah, and you can disagree. I'm not saying that you have to agree with what I say.
Oh, yeah, no.
But you have to understand, this is going from a podcast to a business.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we have sponsors and things like that, and one person can ruin it for everybody else. Okay, we have somebody going over here and throwing F-bombs all over the place. No, right? Someone disrespecting me, you, Rick, or disrespecting Chicana Fuerte, not going to happen. And in fact, we'll just pull the plug on that whole segment if that ever happens, right?
Yeah.
So be respectable. The difference is that when you call in to 94.1 FM, there's a 7-second delay, right? Sometimes we would have people who call in and purposefully or not would cuss or do something stupid. And I would point at Pledger, he'd push a button and it would wipe it away, right? It would go no sound for a few seconds. The curse word passes and they have a 7-second delay. It's like that on TV also. But when it comes to a podcast, something on YouTube that's streaming on Twitter and Facebook like we are right now, there is no 7-second delay. So if people are going to be acting a fool, just pull the segment, just ruin it for everybody else. But that's only going to be on Fridays. That's going to be a Friday thing that we do over here.
Yeah, look at somebody's already wanting to know. Tim Gonzalez says, I wonder if the big guest that Jimenez said yesterday, he finally did it.
What's that again?
Getting the guest, you said that you're going to have a big name guest.
I'm working on that today. I'm working on that today.
I have not said nothing.
Right, and we're looking at pushing that back to next week because it is a holiday. Locked on Spurs, Jeff Garcia from Locked on Spurs at Ken's 5 asked the question, what is the time and date for Michael's funeral after Pledge cooked him? Let's talk about this for a second. I loved it. I loved Jeff
giving you shit for it.
And Jeff giving me a lot of crap by retweeting the 9-hour-old tweet, right?
Cook.
Yeah. And if you could go to my screen of the things that Jeff Garcia was posting yesterday, he was making fun of this tweet that I had out there saying the Spurs in year 2 of having Wemby.
Punt.
And his response was, look who's asking Por Vida fans to cook him again. So Jeff was also piling on yesterday. And I stand by this GIF, by the way, because it's exactly what the Spurs appear to be doing yet again, right? Well, let's talk about this because there's a good old website called basketballreference.com. And one of the things that we were talking about was that whole rebuild that Oklahoma City had, right? And we were debating this, and famously Paul George left Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Famously he left them high and dry, right?
But they got some picks out of the deal.
Yes, well, they got a player who was a rookie and came over named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has now become a superstar. Yeah, one of the 10 best players in the NBA right now. I believe he was top 5 in MVP voting.
Sure was.
And people are always like, well, people didn't know exactly what they had with him. Like they picked up Blake Wesley, right? They picked up some pick that no one knew. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a second-team All-NBA rookie team. And the reason why he wasn't first team was because there was a guy named Luka Doncic ahead of him.
Yeah.
Okay. So we knew what we had with him. He was a good player that was blossoming. He had a very good rookie campaign. So to say that you didn't know that the trajectory was going to lead to something bigger and better is not accurate, right?
Yeah.
But Pledge and I disagreed about a couple of things. He says, well, who's the big free agent that Oklahoma City brought before today? Hartenstein, right? And Caruso the week before. Actually, when they got rid of Paul George, you look it up, they got Chris Paul.
They had him?
Chris Paul came in the year after, and who did he mentor? SGA. And that is why if you've been listening to any of my tweets or reading any of them, or listening to this show yesterday, I said what? I gave this a letter grade of a move. What did I give it? I gave it a B+. B as in boy, not D as in dog. So if I'm giving this a B+ grade, and I'm agreeing that this was a good move, and then I said based on the 1 year, $11 million contract, and that you can get out of it at the end of the year, and that he can be a player coach, why the vitriol towards me? That's the funny thing. And it's not Pledger. Pledger was being Pledger. I love that man. I thought it was great. He's going to be back on this show more often. I want him back more often.
Bring that fireplace.
He's going to be it's great.
Should we call the segment Grilling Time with Pledge?
Yes. Sponsored by Kielbasa Smoked Meats. But it's funny because there's so many people on Spurs Twitter who, whenever I post anything, think that I'm saying something else. But going back to Oklahoma City Thunder, by the way, I said it was a B+ rating.
B+, yep.
Because in 2019, if you look at the roster, Paul George left, was traded away. They got SGA. They got Chris Paul. So maybe Chris Paul coached up SGA. Maybe that's part of it, right?
He learned something from him.
Learn a little something. But when I go to the records, because we were asking the question, how long of a rebuild did Oklahoma City Thunder have?
Yeah, let's look at the records.
The popular opinion was this was a 5-year rebuild. And Pledger yesterday was telling me that we're in year 3 of a 5-year rebuild, just like Oklahoma City Thunder. It didn't take 5 years. To quote the movie My Cousin Vinny, does the defense case hold water?
Oh, God.
I'm looking at the photo. No, the defense is wrong. Why? Because Oklahoma City had a 44-28 record in 2019-2020 season. Following season, 22 wins. Sound familiar? We've had back-to-back 21 seasons, 22-win seasons. The year after that, 24 wins. The year after that, 40, which basically is 500, right? One game below 500 on the win column. And then they were 57-25 as the second youngest team in all of the NBA. The second youngest team in the NBA was 57-25. And now they add Hartenstein. Now they add Caruso. So the idea that we need to give the Spurs 3 or 4 more years to rebuild because Oklahoma City took 5 years to rebuild is, in one word, bullcrap. Because it didn't take 5 years. Look at the numbers. Basketballreference.com. Basketballreference.com.
Look at Noah Pettis. He's saying technically OKC traded for CP3.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
It's a build.
Yeah.
Again, it's the draft, it's free agency, it's trades. So Joe, if I was to say that a team was 16 games over 500 in 2020 and was suddenly back at 500 2 or 3 years later, was that 5 years?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't seem like it. And yet everybody on YouTube who was making comments yesterday was like, Pledge got him on that 5-year rebuild. We need to wait 5 years. And how long has it been for the Spurs rebuild? Because everyone seems to think that it's been 2 years of rebuild. I'm sorry, but the Spurs have had 5 losing seasons in a row.
The rebuild to me was actually started, or the start of the rebuild happened once the nephew left, Kawhi left. It basically put a thorn in all the plans. You know, it kind of just pushed everything out the door. Then after that, what happened once DeMar DeRozan left? You had DeJounte Murray, and that basically was the official, you know, you could ring the bell, bing, ding, ding, start of the rebuild. So it's been a while. When was the last time that the Spurs were in the play-in, in the bubble? How many years ago was that?
It's been a while.
That right after that is when you can say the rebuild officially started, because after that, they became irrelevant. They did not win enough games to even flirt with the play-in anymore.
And that's the thing, is that the Spurs refused to rebuild. It was hubris.
It had already been, the writing was on the wall for quite some time already. After that Kawhi debacle, they weren't aggressive. They weren't really doing anything. They wanted the team they had. We like the team we have. And where did that get you? To where we're at right now. You know, it got you the number 1 overall pick. It was a good gamble.
And that was actually a conversation piece. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about what Pledge and I talk about at night, right? We were having a back and forth about the Spurs, and because here's the thing, Pledge and I are very, very good friends. I consider him to be one of my best friends. Going back and forth, you were asking the question about the play-in. The last time the Spurs were flirting with anything, the Spurs were 48-34 in 2019.
Yeah,
then 32 wins, 33 wins, 34 wins, 22 wins, 22 wins. That's 5 losing seasons in a row. So it's kind of hard to say, well, when the rebuild was. But we were talking about Brian Wright, me and Pledge last night, again, after air. And, we were talking about the moves that Brian Wright has made. And he brought up Josh Primo. He brought up Luka Samanic. And he brought up other players. And he goes, well, they've done some things right and they've done some things good. And it's weird because Pledger echoed something that I didn't like, which is, and I hear this all the time from Spurs fan, which is, well, if it had worked out,
it doesn't.
If it had worked out, we wouldn't have gotten Wemby. And I hear that phrase all the time. Like, if we had gotten Jalen Williams instead of Sohan, we wouldn't have gotten Wemby. If we had gotten Sengun instead of Primo, we wouldn't have gotten Wemby. If this and this wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have gotten Wemby.
I don't think
if
Primo
hadn't left, we wouldn't have gotten Wemby.
Yeah.
If we hadn't got rid of DeRozan, we wouldn't have had Wemby. If we hadn't got rid of Derek White, and I just kind of said, Pledge, dude, you shouldn't be rewarded and be considered to be good at what you do because you F up 4 times and you luck into something that you had a 14% chance of getting.
Yeah, and the thing with Primo too, what did they think? That Primo was going to come in and be the savior for the team?
They wanted that big guard.
Come on, man.
I mean, if you look at Castle and you look at Primo, they're basically the same
but
build.
Would they have been the same type of player?
Right.
That's my question.
David Atwater reaches out to us on our YouTube stream saying after Kawhi, the Spurs should have just rebuilded, but waited until they traded DeRozan.
They needed to have be more aggressive. They needed to have made moves, but they really didn't do anything. I mean, they said, okay, well, we're going to get DeRozan. We're going to try to stay afloat. And that really didn't work out for them.
D'Lo reaches out and says, we were so mediocre since we traded Kawhi. We almost took the Nuggets in Game 7. I really believed in us. We hit the iceberg, someone says, when Uncle started.
And
we finally went down in 2022.
When the iceberg incident started happening? The minute that Kawhi went to the All-Star game and he started noticing what all the other players had, and why don't I have that?
And you hear Stephen A. Smith call Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar in all of basketball, in all of sports, and he is, right? He's a superstar talent, but he's never hurt, he's never healthy, and he does nothing to improve the franchise. I'm not going to say that it was a blessing that he left, but it wasn't a curse either. We're seeing that years later because he would have taken us down by himself anyway. The Spurs refused to rebuild. They wanted to reload, and there was nothing there to reload.
Look at Alonzo. He said, Mike talking with his chest out. Now that Pledge isn't on.
No, now that I have the facts. Now that we have facts. But, the whole Brian Wright thing, well, he drafted Wemby. You know what? You would have drafted Wemby in the same situation. I would have drafted Wemby in the same situation. That wasn't like, oh, we pulled a rabbit out of the hat. It wasn't like we got Jason Tatum at 3 or Luka Doncic at 5, like getting Giannis at 15. The obvious choice was getting Wemby. The question is going to be, is Stephon Castle the obvious choice that the Spurs got at number 4?
Yeah.
Fernandez. I love how he meant a school pledge off air. Hey, man, we're not going to let facts get in the way of a good rant, dude. We're not going to let facts get in the way of a good rant. We loved it, man.
That take yesterday, or you're back and forth, you and Pledge, it made for great entertainment.
It was great.
It was funny.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, dude, I thought we were just going to have a leisurely conversation about Chris Paul. but I went back and I thought about it. I mentioned this a few minutes ago. That's how I know I'm good at what I do, is that if you can project on me something that didn't actually happen, that means I'm in your head. That means I'm living rent-free in people's heads.
I'm going to tell that to Pledge next time. Mike says he's living rent-free in your head. He's going to start laughing.
Well, you know what's so funny is that our good buddy Joe Reinagel from San Antonio Sports was also taking fire yesterday. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
That dude.
Dude, people were giving him crap about it. And it's so funny because there are certain Spurs fans out there who are in the Pop We Trust camp. Who are
apologists?
The apologists for Pop and the apologists for Brian Wright. And Brian Wright, I made the point yesterday that Brian Wright is doing because me rewind that here. People are asking the question, well, what would you have done, Jimenez? What would you have done at this situation? And I wouldn't have done anything differently than what Brian Wright's doing right now.
Well, he's doing the smart thing right now.
He's doing the smart thing based on where he has positioned us right now.
It's not sexy, but it's smart.
Well, but the point I'm trying to make with all that is that I might have deviated a year ago. So you're asking the question, what would you do right now? That's not what I would have done 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Right now, based on the circumstances that he put this team in, he's making the right moves based on where we are right now. I don't know if people understand what I'm saying when it comes to that, right? Because what did he do? He traded away Derek White. Traded away DeJounte.
Jakob Poeltl.
You win some trades, you lose some trades. Won the DeJounte trade. Lost the Derek White trade.
Yeah.
Lost the Primo pick. Won the Wemby pick, but that was a no-brainer.
And they had to get rid of Doug McDermott as well.
They had to get McDermott, right? So based on where the Spurs were positioned at the end of this past season, he's done everything right. Brian Wright has done everything absolutely correct based on where we were, which is based on our salary cap position, based on our draft capital, based on who we were going to get at number 4, getting rid of the number 8 pick. Those were all the right moves. So I wouldn't change anything that Brian Wright's doing right now, because based on where we were April 30th, that's kind of all that you could do.
Yeah.
Now, the big question is, what do you do about Lori Markkanen?
That's an enigma right there, because he's not really up for trade. They're listening to offers, and the latest information that we have is that everything right now is kind of stagnant.
Yeah, there are apparently 4 or 5 teams that are interested, and it's funny because last night I went on Utah Jazz fan sites.
See the aftermath.
They do exist, by the way. And it's funny because you ask the question, who do they want? Because we come at it from a Spurs fan perspective. What do we say? Well, we'll give them Zach Collins and we give them 1 or 2 first rounders, which is not what it takes to get a guy who averages 24 points per game and shoots 40% from 3. I'm sorry. That a 7-footer who plays small forward, who LeBron James says is one of his favorite players in the NBA. You don't send 2 first rounders and Zach Collins for it.
Yeah.
The name that kept popping up on all these sites, and even on ESPN, Steinline as well, was Devin Vassell.
That one's a tough one, man, because this is something that I have told, or you have told Spurs fans as well, is when you're going to make big moves, you have to let go of some of these fan favorites you hold so esteemed, and you hold so dear. Oh, we cannot let him go. The only person on this team who is not tradable is Wemby. That's it, man. If the Spurs wanted to make a move and somebody was willing to trade in a big name to play alongside Wemby, you're going to tell me the Spurs wouldn't entertain the thought of going ahead and packaging Devin Vassell in a trade somewhere if it made sense long term? Absolutely, they would.
A lot of people are saying on we have Spurs Twitter, Jazz Twitter, basically saying that they want Keldon Johnson, that they want multiple picks. And the question becomes, how many picks is worth it? And a lot of people are like, well, Jimenez, Lori Markkanen is also somebody who's injury prone. He doesn't play 60 games very often, but my God, when he is on the court, the guy's an assassin. The guy's a killer. He's also European, played ball at Arizona. He has the best of both worlds, the American standpoint, but he's also a European player. He is somebody who's 27 years old. What does it cost for him? Dude, it's going to cost at least 4 or 5 first rounders, or at least some swaps along the way.
And what do the Spurs have? A plethora of swaps, right? They got a lot of picks, right?
Right.
They have a lot of picks, and they could actually package in a player. Again, at the end of the day, in order for these trades to make sense, you have to factor in the salary.
Right.
Orteo
reaches out and says, trade Devin, are you nuts? I'm not saying that I want to trade Devin.
We don't want. We're saying
again, people projecting on me.
We're not saying that. We're just saying that the Spurs, you don't think they're going to entertain the thought of possibly packaging in Devin Vassell if you guys want a big name player to play alongside Wemby. That's what it's going to take. That's all we're saying, is that at the end of the day, Spurs fans become enamored with these players, and they are tradable assets.
Yeah, people are in love with Sohan. People are in love with Vassell, Keldon, for example. Keldon Johnson is a good player. He's going to have a long NBA career, but he's tradable. Now, the thing is that if you're going to trade Devin Vassell, the salaries don't match. So we need to get somebody in return. Dare I say maybe San Antonio's own Jordan Clarkson? Would that make things a little bit better? Maybe. But again, the Steinline coming out and saying, also Zach Lowe coming out and saying that Lori Markkanen is on the move potentially from the Jazz, has 1 year left on his deal. And the thing is that a lot of Spurs fans have been reaching out to me saying, well, what happens if he doesn't resign? Or we can just wait till he becomes a free agent. What we're seeing right now is,
and you see the price?
No one is staying a free agent anymore.
Yeah, no, but you see the asking price now, it's going up, you know?
Well, look at it like this, like Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's in the final year of his deal. Do you think he wants to play out that final year without a contract? No, because what happens if he gets hurt? Do you think Lori Markkanen wants to have one last year with the Jazz without a contract? No, he wants an extension. All players want to have that financial guarantee that money's going to be there. They want an extension. So the idea that they're going to play out their contract and not do anything about it. Now, here's the thing. One thing that could happen is the Spurs might wait and get him at the trade deadline. Spurs might get more leverage as we get closer to the season. But as Pledger came out yesterday and was saying, he goes, let it all unfold. The problem is that half the good free agents have already gone. So it's already unfolded.
A lot of them actually re-signed with their team. Look at what happened with Donovan Mitchell, for example. He went ahead and stayed right where he's at, and he went ahead and re-signed a max contract with the Cavaliers, you know?
So Bobby Marks, formerly of the Spurs, famed GM, podcaster extraordinaire on ESPN, says that the only place that makes sense for a Lori Markkanen trade is San Antonio, because San Antonio has what? The draft capital, the draft picks. And maybe that's part of the whole 2030 swap that we got with Minnesota and 2031 first round draft pick is the ability to say we can add this.
I wanted to show this because this is the way that Spurs fans think. Spurs fans, look at this right here. Noah Bettis, he's saying Lori is not worth 5 first round picks. He's worth 2 at least. Which 2 would you give them? In lieu of 5, which are the 2 that are very attractive to a team?
2025's Atlanta pick and 2025 Spurs pick. Those are worth 2 apiece.
Exactly.
Those are worth 2 apiece right there. And then you could give them the 2031 pick, and boom, you have the what is 5. The idea that you're going to get a star at 25 points with averaging 25 points per game, because I think that the problem is that people that are Spurs fans may not necessarily know who Lori Markkanen is. Because Lori Markkanen is not an all-star per se. He gives all-star stats, but he's not a star.
And look at what this July 26th is saying. He's saying the new collective bargaining agreement making things way harder, especially for these luxury tax abusing teams.
Right.
Case in point, the Lakers. They're already over the luxury cap, and so are the Golden State Warriors, notoriously.
Now, you're telling me, man. So let's introduce who Lori Markkanen is for those who are not aware of who he is, right? He's a 7-foot power forward / small forward. So he can play the 3 and the 4. His nicknames include Laurie Legend, Laurie Bird, and the Marksman. He's also known as the Finisher. Dude, that guy can dunk, man. 7-footer. He was drafted by the Chicago Bulls at the age of 20, played 4 seasons with him, went to Cleveland, played a season over there, was an all-star with Utah. When he played for Utah just 2 years ago, the 2022-23 season, averaged 25.6 points per game and shot an effective field goal shooting of 58.6. I'll take it all day, every day. Last year, 23 points per game. The problem is injury-prone. Here are the number of games that he's played. Again, there's 82 games in a season. 68, 52, 50, 51, 61, 66, 55. The guy gets hurt from time to time. But when he's out there, he's so good.
He is, dude. He's really good. I mean, other players in the NBA have taken note of Lori Markkanen's game, and they're just saying how smart of a player he is.
JJ Redick, LeBron James sing his praises, saying that's the guy that they love watching play. A career 38% three-point shooter. Career.
You're going to tell me you don't want this guy on the Spurs team. Come
Right.
on, playing alongside Wemby. And look at what Pledge says. Just go get him.
I love you, Pledge.
Oh,
So again, Spurs right now kind of on the clock, but again, that 5-year rebuild that Pledger said happened never happened. It was a 2.5 to 3 year rebuild. Last I saw, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the second youngest team in the NBA last year.
Look, you know what? Christopher Leha brought a good point here. He's saying he's going to laugh when Atlanta makes a trade to get better and their picks don't mean nothing. He said, and everyone kept saying, keep the picks. And he's like, F them picks. You see, the thing is that the picks are tradable assets. You can either go ahead and stay pat and keep your picks, and hopefully those picks will pan out. And we've seen what's happened in the past when the Spurs have picked in the draft. Not all of their picks have panned out. Lucas Samanic, Josh Primo, Lonnie Walker. They're not with the team anymore.
First round picks aren't necessarily gold.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what you do with those picks, is all that matters. Because, I mean, we had Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham as first-round draft picks just a couple of years ago.
And look at what Christopher Leha says. He says, everyone keeps banking on Atlanta to suck. What happens when they don't and their picks lose value?
Well, big markets will do what big markets do. People want to play in Atlanta. So there might be a free agent or two that want to go out there. But to be honest with you, it is trending towards Atlanta having a down year. I mean, because are we going to believe that Zachary Reese-Archet is ready to go year one? Probably not.
Probably not. It takes him a while to get acclimated.
And Reese-Archet is not necessarily known for being a defender. So if he's not a defender, and Trae Young's not a defender, and one of their better defenders, DeJounte Murray, went to New Orleans, I think all signs are pointing towards that pick actually being very, very valuable for the Spurs. And in fact, as much as I want Lori Markkanen, I don't think I could get rid of Atlanta's pick. I might be able to get rid of San Antonio's pick for 2025 because at the very least we have Atlanta's, right?
Yeah. Look at what Isaiah Aguilar says. He goes, you don't believe it would be a net negative if we trade Vassell and something like 5 firsts. Now we're talking Keldon, Sohan, and a bench piece like Julian, Blake, Malachi, and a 2 to 3 first. That might work. But the thing is, the other side of that coin is the team that you're going to trade a marquee player for has to be interested in acquiring these said players. They're going to want something of value,
value. And Isaiah,
and we're not saying to trade Devin Vassell.
No,
that's not what we're saying.
I don't want to.
That's not what we're saying.
But what I'm saying is that you have to understand that when it comes to a negotiation, what you want to give them may not necessarily reflect what they want to give back in return. That's the problem. Now, I don't think Devin Vassell is going to be in the mix for a variety of different reasons. First of all, he makes about $12 million more than Lori Markkanen. And when you have to match salaries, that would mean that not only would they give up Lori Markkanen, they'd have to give up somebody else.
Keldon Johnson.
No. In reverse. We'd have to get something extra from them. So the names that fit, if you want to go by just simply salary, it is Keldon Johnson by himself, Zach Collins by himself, or a combination of Sohan, Branham, and Wesley, City Sissoko, something like that. But as Pledger mentioned yesterday, which is very true, you have Danny Ainge over there in Utah. Danny Ainge is all about the picks. And it's how many picks can you get. Lori Markkanen as a talent is worth 4 or 5 first-round draft picks easily because we've seen that already with the Rudy Gobert trade, the Donovan Mitchell trade, the trades that have gone on this offseason. We know that that's the cost of getting somebody who's a 7-footer who's averaging 25 points per game. That's what it's going to cost. And if the Spurs aren't going to do that, then again, what is that gift that I posted yesterday, Joe? Punt. That's exactly what they'd be doing. And you can't tell me any otherwise.
Look at this, James Pledge. We love you, Pledge. He says known versus unknown. I thought we wanted to build with vet stars around Wemby. We do want to build.
We do. Because again, how many all-star games will Devin Vassell appear in his NBA lifetime career? None. Sohan will never be an all-star. Keldon will never be an all-star. Trae Jones will never be an all-star. Maybe one day we have the hopes that Stephon Castle could be.
Right now, the only all-star caliber player we have on this team is going to be Wemby.
That's it. And he can't do it by himself. The
other guys are just pieces. They're complementary pieces.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a team that did get it all together. Boston Celtics. They signed last season Jaylen Brown to the biggest contract in NBA history, and last night they did it again, signing Jason Tatum to a 5-year extension, $314 million. Can you imagine if the Spurs paid $60 million to a player? And it's going to happen when Wemby gets his extension 3 years from now, right?
I'm going to get Pledge back on. Look at what he says.
I'm back and you're talking. Pledger, I love you. This is going to be for Friday when you can call in, Pledger. You can call in on Fridays. We're taking calls on Friday. But again, imagine this, Joe.
Yeah.
Will Spurs fans have heart palpitations when 3 years from now they're going to have to pay Wemby $75 million a year?
The asking price is going to go up for keeping your superstars, because that's what happens with these TV deals and whatnot. They all share in the revenue. So that just means the asking price for said players is going to go up. Look at case in point. What happened a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago?
Mm-hmm.
The Nets, not the Nets. The Nets, was it the Nets and the Knicks, right? Yeah. And look at what happened. The asking price for somebody who wasn't even a superstar. You know,
a 19 point per game.
Not that he's a bad player, but he's not an all-star caliber.
No, I mean, maybe could be, but he's not yet.
Nah, not right now.
You know, and that's the asking price. So Sam Salinas asked the question, shouldn't the injuries basically take that into consideration where maybe he's not worth 4 or 5 first rounders? I get where you're going with that, and maybe that's so. But the fact of the matter is, the big question is, would Lori Markkanen actually extend his contract? Because he's only worth 1 or 2 first rounders if he's not going to extend. If he does extend, and he's with the team for 3 or 4 seasons, that's the going price, man.
Jeez, look at Dave Atwater. Wemby will get $95 million per year.
I don't doubt it. He'd be worth it too. And you can have San Antonio Spurs fan out there going, no player is worth that much money.
You know what's going to happen if they pay him $95 million a year?
Yeah.
Your Spurs season tickets are going to be going up a markup of 100%, you know, like, come on.
But Jason Tatum got that 5-year deal, $314 million extension. We saw that Derek White got a deal yesterday, also going to make $31 million a year. The dude hit the lottery over there. Donovan Mitchell, who, again, look at what's going on, fellas. Spurs fans, look what's going on. Who is going to be a free agent next year, Joe? Who was supposed to be a free agent next year? Jason Tatum. Unrestricted. It was a player option. Unrestricted. He re-signed.
Why did they do it?
Off the board.
Why did they do it now?
Because it's cheaper to do it now than it is next year.
You don't want to let him go into free agency.
And you don't even want to have that game of chicken with him, right? Who is going to be one of the best point guards available next offseason?
Donovan
Mitchell. Guess what? He's off the board.
Re-signed with the Cavs.
Who is going to be one of the best small forwards available next year? Paul George. Guess what? Off the board, re-signed. Who is going to be the best shooting guard?
Oh, not re-signed, but he signed with the Sixers. Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, no, he signed. He was outright signed.
Yeah.
Who is going to be the best shooting guard available next year? Tyrese Maxey. Guess what? Off the board. We went through that list of the top 2025 first round or top 2025 free agent class and how stellar was going to be.
Look at David Atwater.
James.
Look at what he's saying.
2025 free agent class sucks now.
Make your move now.
I mean, unless we're going to go get Aaron Gordon, right? But if these guys start re-signing extensions, guess what? We're going to be looking at it going, well, what are the Spurs doing? And that's when you take a look at Lori Markkanen, it kind of needs to happen. It has to happen. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is trotting out the same team that we had there last year.
Yeah, look at what JHNSB says. He says, Lori is always hurt.
It is true. It's true. But when he's out there, he's a star. You got to have hope. You got to have hope that he's going to be healthier here in San Antonio.
Look at Noah Pettis says, it's funny because Mike was hyping up free agency next year, and it was so obvious these guys were staying.
The odds were that they were going to stay. But the question became, Joe, would people look at Wemby and think, I want to play in San Antonio with that guy? That's what we were hoping for.
Look at, they're saying that Lori Markkanen's always hurt. The other person on the Spurs who's always hurt?
Devin Vassell.
I
mean, well, let's go through that. We talk about how we don't want to get rid of Devin Vassell because he's so good. And I love Devin Vassell. I oftentimes refer to him as my son. But let's go through his past history. 82 games in the season, right? 68, 38, 71, 62.
And he just had surgery.
He gets hurt.
Yeah, this last season.
No one plays 81, 82 games unless you're LeBron James. LeBron James is a weird freak of nature. And we were talking about Chris Paul. Someone asked me on Twitter last night or this morning, is Chris Paul going to be the starter?
How old is he?
He's 39.
Seen a lot of winters, man.
I know, but it's going to be the first point guard ever to play 20 seasons in the NBA.
The thing is, look at if you're the Spurs and you're looking at your Coach Pop, right? Coach Pop likes his vets. You don't think that Coach Pop is going to start toying with the idea of, you know what, when I'm looking at both of these point guards, Trey Jones and Chris Paul, who is the better point guard?
You know, I mean,
it's that simple. It comes down to that. Who's the better point guard?
You would assume it's still Chris Paul.
You wouldn't want to start him,
right?
Don't tell me the age. Just going by who's the better point guard. I think that's going to be Spurs fans' answer, and that's going to be something that they are absolutely going to hate.
The fact that I had to think about the Trey Jones versus Chris Paul,
I'm just saying,
just shows you that I just don't have faith that a 40-year-old is going to go out there and do well. You can show my screen right now, Joe Reinagel showing a gif of a sheep tweeting out there, "I love you when you disagree with the Spurs wave. You're automatically a subpar talent. I guess I should learn that the Spurs brass has never been wrong and fall in line like sheep."
And Joan Wright, making the case to be the new Skip Menace.
Rudy J posting, "Where should we take CP3 to eat?" And Joe Reinagel's response was Luby's. Dude, Joe was on fire yesterday talking about how old CP3 is.
Hey, maybe we should get Reinagel on too. That'd be fun.
So we had a guy named Eloy who called me an idiot on Twitter.
He's always a hater, bro.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's listening right now.
Yeah.
Joe Reinagel came out with, "Come on, Eloy. I've had many disagreements with Jimenez, but just because he doesn't agree with you, idiot, I must be one as well because now I think he is right. Love you though, haha." It's funny when people came to my defense.
Look at Gilberto Padilla. He says, according to NBA TV, Chris Paul told them that he will be starting for the San Antonio Spurs.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
And he probably should. If how else are we going to learn from somebody without watching them play, I guess, right? And we saw that he played with SGA as well. There was somebody who gave a comment about Pledger going off on me yesterday, and it was I gotta find it. It was on Jeff Garcia's thing. Let's give some love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. And
he will be joining us tomorrow.
He will, yes.
So let's go ahead and give some love to Jefe. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
I subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. You should as well. By the way, on one of Jeff's posts on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone, Wreck-It Joshua comes out and says, talking about whether or not Pledger roasted me. Josh says he did. It was very bad. By the end of it, Mike was saying, I didn't say it was a bad move, which he didn't. Then he basically agreed with Pledger and was still called a moron.
I love that by Pledge too, the way he says, "You moron."
And I'm like, I'm agreed with you.
Can you imagine what everybody thought when they're passing by that little booth and they hear Pledge going on a rant? Like, who's he talking to?
That is funny. The new Locked On Spurs, they're going to be talking about Stephon Castle, what we can expect. And they're going to have a person from Locked On UConn.
Nice.
Didn't know that existed, but Locked On UConn is in the house for Locked On Spurs. Again, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Play, all of that stuff, YouTube, all that stuff. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs doing a fantastic job. Get an insider's opinion on Stephon Castle and what we can expect from him.
Yeah, man. So also, make sure you go and listen to the Locked On Spurs podcast. Biggest Spurs podcast that there is, giving you new content about the San Antonio Spurs every day, bringing on different guests. Jeff's keeping things lively, keeping things fresh. And we're, me and you both come out on Locked On Spurs, and so does our good friends Rudy Campos of Sweep the League.
Pleasure's tweeting me right now.
Oh Lord.
He's texting at me right now. Sorry. It's funny. Yeah, Jeff Garcia does a fantastic job. I'm oftentimes on the show. You're oftentimes on the show. Rudy Campos Jr. is as well. But we're at 951 subscribers strong, dude.
You know what I think we need to do to entice this deal here to get up to 1,000?
What's that?
Maybe when we hit 1,000, we can finally give away one of those tablets.
That is true. We've been waiting on that for 1,000.
1,000, yeah, for 1,000. When we hit 1,000, we do that.
We have a tablet to give away when it comes to that. Here's the thing about it, man. We were talking about the stats last night. So Joe and I will sometimes talk about the podcast late at night.
Yeah.
And we were going over the stats and figures of our show.
We're very efficient with their numbers, man.
We are, man, because I'm looking at them right now. There's something called YouTube Studio, and it basically gives an understanding of who we are, where we are as a podcast network. And what I find interesting is that I had a conversation with Jason Minix a while back. It's been a while back. And he asked me about like the length of time that people will listen to the podcast. Because he was saying that a good return is someone who is watching a podcast for 6 to 8 minutes. That is what's considered to be good when it comes to sports podcasting. Joe, our average is over 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good, dude.
Our average view is 24 minutes and change.
Yeah.
When what is considered to be good is 8.
Yeah.
Beyond that, once we get to 1,000, we become part of the recommended YouTube culture there, right? Whenever someone logs on to YouTube. But what I found disturbing, for those of you who are listening right now, 23% of the people who watch what we do
subscribe
are not subscribers.
Yeah.
Hit the like and subscribe button. Do us a favor. Like and subscribe. 23% of those watching this show have not subscribed yet. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We can get to 1,000 right now if we just hit the subscribers. By the way, going through the stats, do you know how people are finding us? What the number one search is?
Spurs.
San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs, the number one search for people finding us. And that's they're searching us out. So think about that. We have 951 subscribers right now. 951 subscribers right now who came out to us. They had to come find us. I go on Twitter daily and say, here's a link to subscribe. But they had to come find us. Once we get to 1,000, we're now part of the recommended page. People log on to YouTube here in San Antonio. They're going to suddenly see us. No different than what they see Locked On Spurs and In the Building with Rudy J and Mike Taylor. So anyway.
Look at Pledge is still in the chat, bro. He's like, it's okay. It's also okay to recognize when the Spurs do things well, because he was putting this other comment here, and he says it's fine to trash or even question the Spurs moves when they've lost the good. Will they build up lately?
Again, Brian Wright's doing everything he should be doing based on the circumstances that we were in at the end of the season.
Yeah, look at this. I didn't realize that. Congrats to Jefe on 8 years with Los, man.
And congrats to getting subscriber number 4,600 over the weekend.
Man, that's good. Jefe moving Spurs, up, man.
Moving up in the world, dude. But we are inching closer to 1,000. I think by the end of the month, we'll get there. July 31st, we'll make it happen. Joe, what are you doing 4th of July?
Doing 4th of July, man, I'm going to hang out here with the family. I spent like all weekend, last week, getting the yard ready and, clean it up a little bit, getting everything in order, because I plan on spending the whole day outside, just chilling out, grilling, getting in the pool, drinking some beers, listening to some music, having a nice relaxing day with the family. Plan on watching some fireworks, probably at SeaWorld and whatnot. But then when I come back home, I usually jump in the pool again one more time at night for a little evening swim, have me a couple brews.
Nice.
And I watch the hood firework displays here at Marbach, dude.
They're good in the hood, dude.
Oh, yeah, dude. They're popping all night.
You don't go to Alamo Heights if you want to watch fireworks. You have to come to the hood.
The hood firework display.
I am going to Las Vegas, 6:45 a.m. flight. Spirit Airlines. Wish me luck. If you want to show my screen real fast, it is my daughter's 21st birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
Gabby girl. My Gabrielle. She's over there in Baton Rouge, LSU graduate. She graduated at the age of 20. I posted some photos.
Look at young Mike.
Look at young Jimenez.
Clean shaven.
With my first wife. Hi,
Yeah.
Joanne. And that's my Gabby girl right there on the right. That was probably her first Easter, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But my first child. How about this? Look at this. The Spurs jersey. Skinny Jimenez with the Ginobili jersey.
Ginobili.
And for those who are like, you're not a real Spurs fan. Those guys on Twitter. You're not a true Spurs fan. You haven't been cheering for them forever. No, look, dude. That was 20 years ago with my wife at the time and my kid. This was most recently.
Oh, yeah, I remember
we
that
ran
one.
a 5K in Baton Rouge after Jazz Fest. I was hurting, man. Not from the 5K. We had seen a concert the night before. We watched the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
And we were standing for like 8 hours. And then we had in the
that was
baking
your
in the sun.
back-to-back weekend, too.
Back-to-back
Jet
weekends.
lagged. You were just traveling.
And so there I am standing up after finishing the thing. That was great. And then here's another photo of my daughter graduating just 20 years and 5 months at the time when she walked the stage at LSU, graduating with a degree in mass communications. My Gabby girl turning
Congrats.
21 years old today. I sent her a text message at midnight. My daughter is half Filipina, and she was getting Facebook happy birthdays from her family in the Philippines yesterday, like at 5 in the afternoon. She's like, oh my God, it's already my birthday over there. It's July 2nd. So that's pretty cool. But
she's turning 21 today, right?
Today, yes.
Yeah, my daughter's going to turn 21 this year as well, but not until November. So congratulations.
Thank you, man. I have a funny story about it. My father-in-law at the time, may he rest in peace, was a big horse racing fan.
Oh, you like to bet on the ponies?
Yes. Now, Gabby was 2 weeks late, so they induced labor to make this happen. But they told us that she wouldn't be delivered till that evening. So he wanted to go to Atama Park and do some simulcast racing. He wanted to be old school, and I had to tell him, it's not like that anymore. I gotta be with the wife at the time.
Yeah.
And no, I was there. I was there the second that she was born. Weird thing is that we actually had two names for her. We didn't know it was gonna be a boy or a girl. The days right now where it's like gender reveal parties, which I can't stand. But I go to them, but I'm just there going, come on, man. But anyway, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. We were old school.
Yeah.
And we had a boy name, which was going to be Andrew. Andrew would have been named after my cousin. It was going to be actually Andrew Enzo.
Yeah.
So I have my two closest cousins in California. Their brothers, Andrew and Lorenzo. It was going to be Andrew Enzo. So we're going to take the lore out. It was Andrew Enzo Jimenez. What it would have been. The girl's name was going to be Marisa.
Oh, Latina name.
Latina.
Yeah.
Marisa Jimenez. She was born. They said, it's a girl. And the first thing I screamed out of my mouth was, Gabrielle. I don't know where that came from.
There you go.
But it's there. Years later, my daughter now tells me, couldn't you have just added that A at the end? Because Gabriela Jimenez seems a little bit more, like it flows better. I'm like, well, I can change it. She goes, nah, it is what it is by now. But Gabrielle's who she is, Gabby girl, out there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, doing a fantastic job. She, by the way, and one of her coworkers in Virginia won second place at the media awards out there in Virginia for best feature. Second place in the state, and she was an intern competing against all the professionals out there in the state of Virginia. She was doing that as an intern over the summer. Now at the Advocate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My daughter Gabby, we're going to go to Vegas. Question is, what concert are we going to go to? Joe, I have three choices here. Lady Gaga.
We told you which
Lady
one.
Gaga, New Edition, or Ludacris?
Lady Gaga. You take her to go see Lady Gaga.
Nice. I had some friends tell me take her to go see Luda. Actually, Pledger was the one who said to go see Luda.
I think I actually think she would enjoy watching Lady Gaga more.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the comments coming in right now?
Been telling you all to get to 1K since the beginning. Yeah,
we're almost there, baby.
Almost there, man. It's been a long road, and the thing is like anybody else that's content creator in the space, and they're just starting out, like Rudy, from Sweep the League TV. I always tell him, and I even texted him yesterday. I was like, man, we're always hoping that you can get to 1K faster than we ever could, because we had some missteps along the way, and it took us a little bit of time to find our stride. But Rudy, and what they're doing over there, they're just coming out the gate swinging. So it's like hopefully they can get to 1K faster than we ever could.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's about consistency. It's about just building a brand, if you will. And the good thing about though is that would you rather have 10,000 subscribers who are not engaged, or would you rather have 2,000 or 3,000 who are tightly engaged? We look across the street to Mike Taylor and Rudy J. Mike Taylor's been building his channel for years. He currently has like 4,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
They have a very tight-knit community, Thunderdome. And I respect it because growing up, who did I listen to on the radio growing up?
Mike Taylor
and Rudy J.
I also listened to Lyle and Han too.
Lyle and Han.
Yeah.
Oh, they were amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Now news from abroad. Thanks, guys.
All the little, skits and stuff they used to do were so hilarious, man. It was funny back in the day.
Yeah. But no, man, we're getting to 1,000. We're making our way through. I'm excited about it. I think that the trajectory is where it should be. The number of people who watch on a daily basis is growing up. On top of that, 24 minutes average. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I put that against anybody. And it's because you and I do good content, Joe.
Yeah, and look at Joe is saying, put the link in so you can support my hometown podcast, man. Oh, we're going to go ahead and not only put a link out right now to go ahead and, if y'all want to go ahead and support us in any way, you can also go ahead and buy some of our merch. I don't know why this thing's not working right now.
So, Joe, are you worried about that hurricane that's coming to the Gulf?
No, not too much, man. Why are we looking at feet, Mike?
Oh, let's see what's going on here. Lily Allen's feet. I have no idea who Lily Allen is.
And look at Fernandez brought up a good point here too. He had said that I can't find his comment now, but he was saying, based on here it is. He's like, the high caliber level guest our little podcast, have had on with no big sponsorships has been amazing. He's like Frank Harris, Goldberg, the Von Erichs, Jesse James, Big Puppet, Danny De La Paz, and there's more to come. We've done some great things just with the numbers that we have now.
And it's from people like Fernandez, like our listener, Sean Quintero,
and all them,
going out there and doing what they're doing. We're getting people from RCW because of Carolina Teague's contacts. We have people who have reached out to us that we've reached out to, and it's going to be bigger and better because what's coming up? We got UTSA football coming up. We got the Spurs season coming up. And once you get to 1,000 subscribers, guess what? You can knock on the door of getting certain media passes for certain things. Now, I don't want to be a daily person in the locker room, but every once in a while, it'd be nice to kind of go out there and see what's going on with that. Fernandez is going to be out in Las Vegas for
the Summer League.
Las Vegas Summer
Boots
League
on
for
the ground.
Spurs. I'm sure, just like last year, he'll give us content out there and do the interviews and whatnot. We're going to get all the selfies.
He gets everywhere, man. He's on it.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. We were talking about Chris Paul, the big signing for the Spurs, 1 year, $11 million, whether the Spurs should go after Lori Markkanen. And right now we're seeing some players already taken off the board. Donovan Mitchell signing a 3-year, $150 million extension to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers, a small market team, Joe. A small market team giving out $50 million a year to a borderline point guard all-star.
Yeah.
Interesting. Spurs, just do something. Do something. Brandon Big Papi Medina was here on Friday. He's going to be here with you on this past Friday?
I believe he is.
This upcoming Friday?
No, not this Friday. This Friday, he's going to be busy. He's going to be on a trip. He's going to be actually going out and having some fun. Great for him, Oh, and they're saying who you're going to watch. They said, go watch Gaga.
Let's get the entertainment bump going.
All right, let's do that.
You can take a look at my screen. Look who was playing around with Hawk Tua yesterday. Dude, that 15 minutes of fame. Is she at 14:59? Is it almost up, Joe?
Almost.
Shaquille O'Neal was hanging out with her in Nashville yesterday. Why would Shaquille O'Neal seek her out?
He wants some of that Hawk Tua.
They're going by. But look at some of these photos. Hey, and what is the Demon Shaq look that he's giving here?
He's just having fun, dude. He likes to be we call it a comedian.
Yeah. That is so funny, dude.
Yeah, as big as Shaq is, man, he's just like a big kid at heart, man. He just likes to have fun.
She gave her first on-camera interview since the whole thing, and
I saw that.
I'll tell you what, though. She was like, I'm not a teacher. I never was a teacher. I'm just 21 years old. I'm from a small town in Tennessee. Yeah. And she was talking in with a really thick twang. Says that she is hiring an agency, like some sort of agent.
Yeah.
And they're going to go start a podcast. They're going to go try to lend themselves towards events all around. I can see her being at like the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is with her type of personality? She just seems very comfortable in front of the camera. She's built for media, dude.
She is.
You know?
She's built for the media. She's very attractive. She was at a country concert over the weekend,
She's
big
young,
country concert.
You know?
21 years old, looks good in boots, and Shaq looks smitten. Now, I saw a lot of people react to, like, what happens if this is your daughter? No one's laughing at her. We're laughing with her, which is why I like the whole situation.
Yeah, we got a question here by Tim Gonzalez. When will Johnny Walker come back again? We need to get him back on when we're talking UT football.
Yeah, so I actually hung out with Johnny Walker last week.
I like Johnny Walker. When he was here and we had him in the studio, your personality and his, it was like magic, dude. It was fun.
Well, because we're both from the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, Holmes High School. You know, we're about a 15-year difference in age. But no, he's doing really good things right now. Hanging out with Johnny Walker this past week. He's actually working for a charter school here in San Antonio, doing a lot of various things to kind of publicize the school, working in the athletics department and things like that. He's got some pretty big things in the works. But Johnny Walker most definitely will be back on the show. I did ask him the other day. He said he'd be more than happy to take part.
I love this one by Gert. Look what he put. Because Shaq met the Haktua girl. Shaq-Tua. And somebody apparently offered $600 for her to spit in a jar. Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Hey, did you see, and I'm looking for the video right now. There was a, out in West Texas, you have that one pop-up store that doesn't exist. What is it called? The Louis Vuitton.
Oh,
store.
Yeah, the it's just the facade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know one popped up in San Antonio?
Mm-hmm. It popped up around the same time when they had the Victor Wembanyama billboard that came out with the Louis Vuitton and all that.
Okay, it's back. Yeah. It's back up apparently.
They had taken it down.
Well, no. Well, see, this one says Louis Vuitton, right?
Yes.
The other one says Luis, Luis. This is the old one from the other day.
Yeah.
But there's another pop-up one that popped up around town. I might want to go check that one out too.
It says Luis.
It says Louis Vuitton.
That's like the Whataburger that's across the border. They call it Weddleburger.
Oh, really?
Weddleburger, not Whataburger.
Dude, it's funny, man, because I start thinking about Whataburger. God, that's gone down. It's gone downhill, man.
It ain't the same that it used to be, man. It used to be a lot better as far as the quality. Now it's just taking a dive, man. Ever since they changed the bags from white to brown,
it's gone down.
It's gone down, dude. It's just not the same anymore. But you know who does have a mean burger here? And we need to get them to do something with this. Mm-hmm. Burger Boy.
Yeah.
Just down the street, they got a good burger, man.
So I was thinking about something yesterday. I saw a rerun of the ESPY Awards being announced, the nominations, because the ESPY Awards are going to come out, I believe, sometime in this month in July. And Victor Wembanyama is nominated for one of those awards, which is basically the Breakthrough Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
Going up against CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans. Does Wemby have any chance of winning this award? Or is it CJ Stroud's? Because it's a female college basketball player that's in there, along with a female gymnast, along with CJ Stroud and Victor Wembanyama. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, man, down the road, they're going to wish they gave Wemby this award. But CJ Stroud's got to take this. He's not trying to be a hater towards Wemby.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud taking a team that was like one of the worst teams in the NFL, taking them all the way to the playoffs.
Being a rookie
at that. Not even the number 1 overall pick. He was the one that was number 2 selected.
But then you look at Victor Wembanyama, and even though the Spurs have the record that they do have, what has been everybody's experience in the NBA when they play against Victor? Case in point, look at what Chris Paul said. after the Warriors had played Wemby, right? The Spurs, with Wemby on the court. All the talk was, man, can you believe this guy? He's making us all change our shot. They were just in awe of Wemby and what he's able to do at his size. And I think that says something as well, because everybody who's played against him, these other teams and these other high caliber players, have said that Wemby is a generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to change the complexion of the game. He's at some point, I truly believe that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the face of the NBA.
Okay, I keep hearing that.
He will be.
Okay, I keep hearing that. And I'm not there yet.
He's going to be there. He's going to be there.
I'm not there yet.
He's got that international following. And not only that, the kid likes to talk, dude. He's not like the old Spurs of ages gone by.
Right.
He's not afraid of the media. He likes the spotlight. He knows how to talk. He has a very good team surrounding him. And look at what's happening. Louis Vuitton, they don't just throw that sponsorship at anybody. This kid has star power, man.
Super chat coming in from the Drew Show saying, thank you for the $5, by the way. Says, if Chris Paul becomes the Spurs coach, I'll have to move back to San Antonio, be Mike's wacky neighbor, taking him out on misadventures. Appreciate that. And Chris Paul, in very, very many ways, is actually a coach. He's a player coach.
Yeah,
is what he's going to be doing. But I'm looking at the whole Wemby aspect. We are all under this foregone conclusion that Wemby is going to be the best player in the NBA. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I think it's very possible that Wemby could be the best player in the NBA. But what does that translate to when it comes to wins?
See, that's the thing, the flip side of the coin. Even though he might be that high caliber of player, it might not translate into a lot of wins. Not right now. I'm not saying that it might not ever. But for right now, early on in his career, it's just not going to be in the cards for him. Like next season, I don't believe the Spurs are going to win 48 games to get into the play-in tourney. That's not going to happen. But what's going to happen is that you're going to see growth. Eventually, the team will get there, and when it does, that's going to be a special moment, because that's going to be like, hey, this is, the Spurs are on the map again. But beyond that, Wemby is making this franchise relevant with just his name alone and what he can do out there on the court.
So should Spurs fans be under the impression that this whole return to relevancy is going to be 7 or 8 years? I mean, we were talking to Pledger yesterday from San Antonio Sportscast, again, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock to 7. He's the host of Extra Innings. We were talking about the fact that the 2031 pick that the Spurs got.
Yeah.
And he was like, Michael, well, here's the thing. In 2031, Anthony Edwards his extension would be over. That team might suck. It might be a valuable pick, all that stuff, because the Spurs will need to reload in Wemby's year 8. And I'm just, in my head, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, because there's validity in what he's saying, but let's also read between the lines of this. 2023, we're used to Duncan being drafted to a pretty good team, being drafted in 97, winning a title in 99.
2 years after he was drafted.
Right.
Yeah. But he was also had a better cast of character around him. Yeah.
And we have to take a look at all the superstars around, because I'm looking at LeBron James. LeBron James, 4-time champion. First title was in 2012.
Yeah.
So he was drafted, if I'm not mistaken, in 2003. So that was like 9 seasons, 8 or 9 seasons. Michael Jordan famously 8 or 9 seasons before he won a title. But there have been players out there like Magic Johnson, like Tim Duncan, who won it early.
Yeah.
So the idea that Wemby is going to be the greatest player in the NBA or the greatest player that we've ever seen, I'm not going to sell my stock in that.
I'm not saying he's going to be the best player you've ever seen. I'm going to say he is going to be that generational talent.
But what does that translate into?
Generational talent, meaning that you're going to be so good that you're going to have to change the complexion of the game. They're going to have to go ahead and implement some rules because of what you're doing out there on the court that are just for you.
Right. Noah Petta is asking the question, what do y'all consider the end of the rebuild? Play-in appearance or playoffs? I'm going to say being considered to be a threat for the title.
Yeah, once you get into that the content of that conversation of the Spurs are one of these teams that we believe are going to be vying for a chip. That means you're here.
Yeah,
dude.
and it does. You don't have to be the best team, but
Yeah.
if you're one of the 10 best teams out of 30, how about that? You're in the top third of the NBA, which theoretically you have a chance, right? Top 3 or top 4 seed. I think if the Spurs go 46 and 36 and are flirting with the play-in tournament, I mean that's a start of the end of the rebuild.
Yeah.
But it's not the completion of it all.
What's going to happen next season is probably going to be more of the same. The Spurs might win a handful more of games, but it's not going to be playing with the flirting with the play-in. But what's going to happen is that slowly, probably over the next 2 to 3 seasons, the fans will finally start to see this team take some strides and some really, expected growth to be around I guess the expectation is they want this team to go ahead and be winning like 40-something games,
July 26 coming out and saying Jordan LeBron didn't win it off the jump, so there's nothing wrong with Victor taking his time to win it. The problem is that there's a big difference between what was going on in the NBA in 1984, 2003, and 2023.
Yeah, it's the way the teams are built different now.
The teams are built differently. Player empowerment's different. Back in the day, if Jordan said back in the day that he wanted to leave, they would tell him to sit his ass down. Wemby says he wants to leave. He has all the leverage in the world because he's a star.
Yeah.
Times change.
They got to make him happy here, too. You got to go ahead and start surrounding him with a better cast of character, so he can go ahead and start winning, not just him, but the team as a whole. When they win, it's good for business. Right now, when the team is irrelevant, they're not really in the conversation for doing anything, it doesn't help with the overall value of the team. When you're looking at that from an investor standpoint, you want this team to get better. And if you're a fan, you want this team to get better because you want to feel excited again.
Right. Steph Curry won his first title in 2015, drafted in 2009.
So it took him a while.
It took 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But then this lends itself to the question, Joe, well, then why is Pop still there? If it's gonna take 5 or 6 or 7 years for this to all happen, why is he still there? What is the point? That I don't understand. Just give the kids to Mitch Johnson. Let's go.
That question can only be answered by the front office.
What exactly is Mitch Johnson learning from back-to-back 22 and 60 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's something that only the San Antonio Spurs front office can answer. It's not for us to come up with the actual answer for that question that you're presenting here, because there's a lot of Spurs fans out here that just want Coach Pop to continue to coach all the way up until he's maybe 90 years old, but that ain't going to happen. At some point, he's got to call it. It'll be a sad day because everybody's gotten so familiar with Coach Pop's face being out there, his antics with the media and whatnot. And I'll miss him for one, but at some point we do know that it is coming. So every time I see him out there every season, at his age right now, we know that this could be it. And he's going to go out like Timmy, dude. He's not going to announce it. He's not going to want his farewell tour. It's just going to happen, in the offseason. Coach Pop is calling it quits. There you go. Send a nice letter out to the city of San Antonio. He's not going to announce it. So if he's coming back again one more season, it's like this, Mike. He's building this house again, right?
Right.
And I think all he wants to do is just have the foundation laid out to where he feels this team is in a good spot. And then hand those reins over to another coach. But right now, he's just not ready to do that.
I don't think he has anything better to do.
Oh, God, Mike. He's got grandchildren. He's got family.
I don't think he has anything better to do. I mean,
these players are like his family. These are like his kids, man.
I just go back in time. Think about it this way. Back when Tony Parker was starting as a point guard for the Spurs back in 2020, was it 2003? That was 21 years ago. Pop was 54. Tony was 19. You add the two together, that's 73. Now you add the starting point guard and the head coach now, it's 114. Spurs are not going to move forward if they're still looking at the past. That's the problem.
Look at July 26th. He was saying, and you said, I don't think Pop has anything better to do. And I was like, he's got grandkids, man.
Not everybody wants to hang out with their grandkids, dude.
Coach Pop looks like he likes to have some fun with his grandkids.
I don't know. If he's drinking that much wine, can he really watch the grandkids?
Oh, Lord.
So in September, NBA 2K25 is going to come out, and they just released their rankings recently. Who do you think is the highest rated player in that video game in the NBA?
Right now?
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama.
Not even close.
No.
Number one player is Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid
Came out with a 98 overall scoring rating, 97s. So tied for third are Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Giannis. Below them, to round out the top 10, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Steph Curry, and Anthony Edwards. Dude, Anthony Davis is ranked higher in this video game than Devin Booker is 12. Jalen Brunson is 13. Kyrie Irving is 14. Donovan Mitchell is 15. According to the video game, Victor Wembanyama is the 23rd best player in the NBA with a rating of 89. Moved up 5 points. Was 84 last year. Moved up 5 points. If you want to know who's number 22, Domantas Sabonis, center from the Sacramento Kings, who also was a third-team All-NBA, was also an All-Star.
He's also a good player.
Trae Young, look at that, is at number 25. Do you know how many Spurs players are in the top 100?
No.
One, Victor Wembanyama. According to NBA 2K25, which again will be released in September, the Spurs have only one of the best 100 players in the NBA, and they're just 30 teams, which means on average, each team should have 3 1/3 players on this team.
Oh, look, we got some breaking news here. We didn't even think to share, dude. We need to go ahead and play the breaking news bump.
Let's bring
here.
it.
So the breaking news is El Jefe, man, he just tweeted this out 12 minutes ago. Spurs announced they have signed rookie guard Stephon Castle.
Nice.
And per the team policy, terms of the contract were not announced. But now, Stephon Castle is officially a San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, it's going to be around $7 million when it's all said and done, because NBA players kind of get slotted into certain spots. It's going to be like $7.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he's going to be. I'm a big fan of Stephon Castle. I think he's going to be a very big part of this team. I hope he's starting on day one. And I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter earlier about who's the odd man out. The odd man out has got to be Blake Wesley, right? The Spurs have a team option on Blake Wesley. Do they pick it up? Why would they pick it up?
Yeah.
Who's ahead of him? You've got Chris Paul. You've got Stephon Castle. You've got Trey Jones. The odd man out might be Blake Wesley.
Wow. Look at Sam Salinas. I think you and him are brothers, man.
Salinas says he's incapable of putting the team in a good spot for him to ride off into the sunset. He doesn't have it anymore. He's washed.
He's talking about Pop.
Talking about Pop. He's washed. And it's like 5 years of losing seasons. What more do you want? Okay, let me ask you this question, Joe. And I'm going to ask people who are watching the show right now. Give me not the Vegas over-under, your personal over-under of number of wins you want to see this team get this year, where you think if they exceed this number, it's a successful year. What is that number? If they exceed this number, a realistic number, because the Spurs had 22 wins without Wemby and 22 wins with Wemby. This season, as the team is constituted right now, I'm not saying if they get Lori Markkanen, let's just pretend that never happens. As constituted right now, how many wins is this team getting?
As it
28 to 32?
31, maybe.
31?
Yeah.
I might go as high as 34. Ain't going to be higher than that. Ain't going to be higher than that. We have no talent around him that is ready to play big ball, big time ball. I mean, Stephon Castle might be that guy down the road. Maybe we get a mini leap from Sohan, but we know what we got out of Keldon. We know the player that we have in Zach Collins. We know the player that we have in a lot of these guys.
Look, Safe Space Invader says 32 wins. Hanover Fist says 40 plus.
Why? What changed?
JHNSB says not Pop's fault. The team sucks.
It's Pop in the front office.
July the 26th says over 30.
So 31.
Look, Sean, what are you smoking, bro?
46
Come
and 36.
on, Sean.
I want to take that bet all day, every day.
David Outwater, 35 wins. Oh my God.
I'm 82. Charles Sasso.
Are you sure you're not Fernandez's burner?
Dude.
I love Fernandez. Every time the Spurs finally win a game,
Yeah.
he tweets out and he always says, all we do is win. I love his enthusiasm.
I mean, who did we leapfrog over in talent wise in the Western Conference right now? By the way, the Dallas Mavericks picked up Klay Thompson. The Golden State Warriors era is now over.
Klay Thompson mad too. He wanted that money, dude.
He wanted
he got
a good deal. It was a good deal
but
for him.
Case in point goes, don't ever give teams discounts like that. You know, if you deserve to be paid, get your money, King. You know,
agreed. He got his bag. Now I'm looking at the Western Conference. The Thunder. Okay, so the Spurs are going to go off and somehow magically win 40 wins this season, right?
Yeah.
The Thunder. Did the Spurs get any better than the Oklahoma City Thunder? No. I feel like Cowboy fan, dude. I feel like Cowboy fan. And Wemby's our Micah Parsons, right? The Thunder went out and got what? Caruso, and they got Hartenstein, right? You got that, right? They're better. The Nuggets are the Nuggets. They got the freaking MVP. The T-Wolves are young and getting better.
Yeah.
The Clippers might have gone downward. The Mavericks got better. The Suns are meandering. The Lakers are meandering. The Pelicans got better because they got DeJounte. The Kings are better. The Warriors are coming down. The Rockets got better. The Jazz, kind of where they are. The Grizzlies at 13, fine. Best case scenario. Best case scenario, the Spurs are around 11. 11th in the West. They might fight for that 10th spot in that play-in tournament.
Look at David Outwater. Spurs better than the Warriors and Clippers. Oh, look at this. Is a $5 super chat we got from the Drew Show. Appreciate you, Drew. Thank you for supporting all we do, man.
Drew Show says if Wemby likes Chris and Chris wants to coach, sorry, Mitch. Spurs will be the 5th seed to go 7 games. Sorry, I'm trying to read that. Will be a 5th seed, rather, and go 7 games. To underestimate Chris. I thought Devin is elite. Okay. So Drew Show's been giving me crap about Devin Vassell for the longest time because I like Devin Vassell a lot. I don't want the Spurs to get rid of Devin Vassell. Wemby's the only untradeable piece, but Devin Vassell is number 2 right below it.
Look at Joe. The Thunder are just God's farts.
Hey, Joe, remember that time? They had 5 losing seasons and they bounced back because it took them 5 years to rebuild. Remember that?
Oh,
never happened.
My God,
never happened. You go back and look at the historical context.
Man, you better be ready for that heat.
Never happened. Man, I got knocked out on fake news.
Pledger's gonna come in firing, bro. He's gonna come in fired.
Got knocked out on fake news.
I'm gonna tell him that. Hey, Mike says you're fake news.
Fernandez asking the question: when is your beloved OKC gonna win a title? They might win it next year. Who's to say they won't come out of the West? Oklahoma City Thunder were the number 1 seed of the West with a 57-25 record. They won 57 games. Chet's getting better. SGA's getting better. They now have Caruso to do things defensively. They now have Hartenstein down low. It might be next year. I'm going to be in Vegas this week. Who's to say that I might not make a bet on that?
Look at Sam Salinas. He likes Devin, but he's not elite.
No, he's not.
He's a good piece around Wemby, though.
He's not we talk about the Batman and Robin. He's not Robin. He's the butler. He's the 3 guy.
Hey, Tavarius, look what he says. Dan Hurley will be the next coach.
I'll sign off on that. Dan Hurley, man, back-to-back national championships at UConn. Knows Stephon Castle. Knows how to coach young people. I've always asked this question, Joe, and this is why people give me shit about Pop. How many rebuilds has Pop done in his career?
He hasn't had one
till now, man. So this isn't like a Larry Bird situation or an Eric Spoelstra situation where they're constantly rebuilding teams. He's never had it.
Where are the Spurs ranked in the Southwest Division? They're dead last. No lies detected. I mean, that's where they finished, I believe, the prior season.
Yeah. The divisions don't matter. They did back in the day. Remember when the Spurs would hang the banners?
Midwest Division champs.
Midwest
back in the
Division,
day.
Division champs, back in
Mhm.
Southwest and all that stuff. Doesn't matter anymore. But your Spurs have a brand new player. Again, Stephon Castle signed with the San Antonio Spurs, as expected. Jeff Garcia reporting that about 15 minutes ago. And speaking of which, you can go to Locked On Spurs later on today because he has a gentleman named Mark Zane of Locked On UConn. Didn't know it existed, but Locked On UConn will be on Locked On Spurs today to talk about what we can expect from Stephon Castle.
Sean Quintero. If you're not first, you're last.
Can he play?
Oh, look at this. This is a good comment by July 26th. Look what he says, Mike. He says, I like how people praise Sam Presto all the time, but the guy never won a championship to show for it and loses his superstars.
Well, he lost Paul George. That's the only superstar he lost, right? Because I don't think he was there when Durant left and when
I think he still was there. I think at the time it was a tail end. I think Harden had already left. I think it was just going to be Durant and Russell.
Dude, I am older than Sam Presti. Sam Presti is just 46 years old. No, you're right. You're right. He was there since 2007.
Yeah, at the tail end, I think it was just Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. He was there for that. Harden had already left. And then soon after that, that's when they disbanded.
Right. They're in better position than the Spurs are right now. It's not even close. Not even remotely close.
Well, they've been building that team for a little bit there. You know, they went through a little lull.
Yeah,
They
5
got
years.
the picks.
5 years, apparently.
They got their picks, you know, and then they started picking in the draft. And look at where they're at now, you know. I mean, unfortunately for them, too. I mean, they've been getting better. I even saw the Pelicans. I saw the Timberwolves. And this is something that was frustrating to me as a Spurs fan. You saw these teams that were kind of lower than the San Antonio Spurs at one point, right?
Yeah.
In the standings. And then slowly but surely they overtook the Spurs because of the moves that they had made, either, you know, trades or picking well in the draft and whatnot. And the Spurs slowly started sliding down. And there was nothing you could do at that point. You just saw that the plethora of talent that these other teams had were so much better.
The problem that you're going to have is that you got to make a decision at some point. And no decision is a decision. You know, you have to deploy the shoot at some point. You gotta
blow it up.
You gotta fire the weapon.
Yeah.
And instead, again, the gift that I used yesterday was what? Punt.
Look at Gilbert Padilla. Sam Presti was the GM when OKC was still the Supersonics.
That's right.
And you know what? The Supersonics might be making a resurgence here because the NBA is saying that they might add in some other teams.
And they deserve it, man. That's a very good place. That's a basketball town.
That city loved that team.
And they better get that name Sonics back.
They better get it. Yeah, damn right.
Like the Houston Texans should be the Oilers.
That was a cool logo too, man. I liked it. Supersonics, yeah.
It was a great song, man. The S is for super and the U is for unique.
Man.
The P is for perfection, and you know that we are freaks.
We were
the
talking.
E is for exotic, and the R is for rap. Sorry.
No, we were talking the other night when I was out here with Rick and Steph, and I was telling them, I said, hey, man, we really need to get the crew together and do like some karaoke somewhere. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Brandon too, you know, bring Brandon out.
Can sing, man.
I know. That's why I was like, I want to get him out there.
Hey, did you see this on my screen? Jameer Nelson Jr. is joining the Spurs Summer League roster. That make you feel old? Jameer Nelson's son?
Junior.
Jameer Nelson Jr.
Wow.
Did he have this kid early in life? Because my goodness, we cannot be this old, Joe.
We are, bro, unfortunately. And look at what what's his name? I just saw it right now. Somebody had put in, oh, here it is, Alonzo A. He put, Bronny just signed a multi-year deal.
Max contract.
Yeah.
You know, Juan Nunez, by the way, is playing for the Spanish team.
I saw.
So I'm excited about that. Are you more excited about Summer League or about the Olympics when it comes to basketball?
I'm more excited about the Summer League, man, quite honestly. I like to see what the plethora of talent is as far as the younger players, you know, and keeping an eye on some of them, because some of them have really good summer leagues, and then it just doesn't translate to the NBA level. But the cool thing with the Summer League is you get to see the potential, you know, and if you're a Spurs fan or if you're a fan of the NBA in general too, like I am, you like seeing all these young players, you know, like to see what these young names that are out there are capable of. And not only that, but like Fernandez says, when you're out there at the summer league, you have all these other NBA players, coaches coming to the games. And that's why he gets all these pictures, because he's gone so many times. He already knows where everybody's going to be at. And he just happens to be in the right place at the right time, man.
Yeah, he knows where to position himself. Did you know that there are 24 countries in the Olympics that will have an NBA player playing for them this year?
Really?
Okay, so the United States roster, the Americans, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum.
Nice.
Obviously the favorites, right? But let's look at some other teams. Look at Canada. Canada is also represented by about a dozen players. Look at these names on there. RJ Barrett from the Raptors will be playing. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, is the point guard, along with Jamal Murray, former Spurs Trail Isles, Kelly Olynyk. Wow. I mean, this is an NBA team right here. It's a decent team. Look at France. Not only do they have Victor Wembanyama, Killian Hayes, Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier, Nando De Colo, former NBA player, Bilal Coulibaly, Nicholas Tatum. Australia has Dyson Daniels, Dante Exum, Josh Giddey, Josh Green, Jock Landale, Joe Ingles, Patty Mills, Matisse Thybulle. How about Serbia with Nikola Jokic and Nikola Jovic? Bogdan Bojanovic is playing there. You're telling me that these players can't just catch fire? Germany with Mo Wagner and Franz Wagner. South Sudan with Bol, Thon Maker. Yeah, that's a length right there. Japan has Rui Hashimura. Angola, remember Angola lost to USA by like 70 some odd points?
You know what's odd too?
Bruno Fernando.
Kyle Anderson, he's going to be playing for Team China.
Really?
Yeah, he's got a Chinese citizenship.
The Bahamas have DeAndre Ayton and Eric Gordon and Buddy Hield. Cameroon has Pascal Siakam.
Wow.
Mo Bamba playing for whatever Cote d'Ivoire is. I've never even heard of that before. Greece has Giannis. Dude, Giannis is in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Looking on the other side of the court. Dude, this is going to be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to the Summer Olympics, man.
Oh, yeah. I like the Summer Olympics. I'm always watching it.
Poland. Poland has Jeremy Sohan. And Spain has Spur. Juan Nunez.
Wow. And Drew hitting us with another super chat, man. $10 super chat from the Drew Show. Thank you, man.
Drew Show with another $10 super chat says, rebuilds. Pop in the front office is exactly copying OKC. Castle is Chris, new SG, is a new Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ingram is a bigger and better Jalen Williams. And your son Devin to that OKC bubble team with Wemby and the inevitable head coach Chris Paul. Okay, so is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing to say that the Spurs are stockpiling picks like Oklahoma City? Is it a bad thing that they got Chris Paul to mentor Stephon Castle and Trey Jones the way that Oklahoma City got Chris Paul to mentor SGA? Jalen Williams, I love. Great player. There are some similarities to it. It's just that they rebuilt a lot faster. Again, Oklahoma City was the number one team in the Western Conference last year, and they were the second youngest team in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of go, well, what do you mean it took 5 years to rebuild? They were the second youngest team last year, and they still made it happen. They picked the right players. Jalen Williams they picked. They picked Josh Giddey. They flipped him for Caruso. They got Chet Holmgren. They're doing the right picking at the right time. Now that they're doing the right trades, they have the cap space. They have the picks. Oklahoma City is going to be a force for the next decade because they planned well. And on top of that, they have a young coach.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick pause, and we're going to go ahead and give a shout out to our boy over at MCS General Contracting, Chris Leha. And when we come back, I got some video of something that Victor Wembanyama did yesterday.
Nice.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show. Make sure you get some of that diamond hard concrete in your life and go and, call MCS General Contracting.
Come check out my house, man. We have it all done, dude. I'm a client of theirs. They did my back patio, my back porch. But what did you want to show me?
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to show you this. Yesterday, Wemby was actually, practicing with the French team and whatnot. He did something really cool for one of these fans. He's out there just saying hi to all the fans. And the camera will pan out here. It's going to show all the fans there that are in attendance to see Wemby. And look what he does with the ball. He's looking, he's seeing all the kids, of course, He's like, you know what? The hell with this. I'm going around the barrier, giving the ball to one of the smallest fans there, man. Little girl, in attendance. That's pretty cool of him, dude.
That is cool.
I like how the NBA players do that. They don't actually go and give the stuff to like the adults. It's like the little kids are more impressionable.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Who do you think could throw a t-shirt further, Wemby or Kelsey Plum?
Oh God, Kelsey, man, she's got an arm, bro.
You got a cannon, dude.
I'm like, man, that was Drew's show again, man. Thanks, Drew.
JHNSB reaches out and says, Mike, just put on a Thunder jersey on, bro.
Oh God,
I just want a young coach.
Look at John G. You smell like farts, Mike. Because he's calling that's what he called the OKC thing.
No, I mean, think about it, man. I'm not going to believe in this actually being a rebuild as long as we have a 75-year-old coach.
Oh, God.
It's not a rebuild at that point. It's just meandering.
Oh, look, here's a $5 super chat from the Drew Show.
Says, dude, you just whine that Pop doesn't know rebuilds. I point out Pop in the front office are copying OKC, but are miles ahead. Fastest flip-flop ever later.
That's what Pledge always used to call you, the flip-flopper.
How are the Spurs miles ahead of Oklahoma City right now?
I don't know.
Not in talent. Just not in talent. Joe, let's call it a show, my man. We'll be back tomorrow. So again, Thursday, no show on Thursday.
No show, because it's 4th of July.
4th of July. You and Spernandez will be doing the show on Friday.
Yeah, we might have a special guest. I'm working on something.
Maybe I'll call in from the casino, drunk off my ass.
hung over with the red eyes.
Yeah, last time I did it from the Whataburger.
Hey, that was a good Whataburger, man. No lie.
It's a Whataburger with a bar. It's got the big screen TVs.
And then it opens up to the main strip as well, right?
Yeah.
You can go walk through it, man.
It's it's near New York, and Cosmo, kind of in the middle of the two. It's not bad, dude.
It's a nice place.
Good looking place. But again, for those of you who are watching right now, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. 23% of our viewers last month were not subscribed. Did we get any new subscribers today, Joe?
I don't know, dude. I don't think so. We can get the notification.
We got 3. We're at 954. 954 strong, 46 away from 1,000.
Look at John G's calling out Drew. Drew, how much money you have?
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Thank you to everyone who watched today's show. We appreciate you, and hit that like button on the way out, brother.
All right, man. Share and like, brother. We'll see you guys tomorrow, man.
Peace.